I just got the tomb. This is my day 69th run, and my goal here we are. This is accessible, but I believe the boat is going to be on the other side. It is interesting. Car keys and diaries. I think I'm also missing there's like a hidden item there. As my last run, I had a moon pendant, which will let you hold on to 2 items while you go through the next run. It lets you carry over 2 random items. Okay. Let's head back upstairs if I don't get lost. Damn it, did it again. Here it is. Now my goal is to move up through the middle and then come down on the sides. I personally like drafting all 3 in a room sometimes, especially in the beginning and after playing dare mode. Let's drop a utility closet here. Grab an extra gem. Sweet, another hallway. Ooh, magnifying glass. Very useful. The black box is not empty. The statement on the black box is true. A box with a false statement contains the gems. So the black box is not empty. If this is true, then the gems are here. If this is true, this also makes the black box true, which only one, at least one, but not all 3. One has to be false. So if this is true, this has to be false, which makes this false. If this is false, the statement on the black box is true. That means the statement on the black box is false. If this is false, It's a box with a true statement containing the gems. And the black box is not empty. No. Oh my god, I got it right. I thought I screwed it up. My big brain, my big brain. I normally would take a workshop. Workshops are really good here. Secret passage would even be better. We need to save that, though. Save that. We need to come down on the left side. Pick up some extra steps. We don't have a lot of red rooms, so we can come back for that. Normally, I'd like a garage there for the keys, but I have a different objective than trying to unlock curse mode. Cool. This theory may work out. Heck yeah, lever. What? Anything I can make yet? Nope. None of these things combine. There we go. The next time you enter the boudoir, her ladyship's chamber. Now, one of the things I did in the tomb was get the key. Her sleep diary. My dear diary, after countless sleepless nights, this is January 17th, 1979. After countless sleepless nights and failed home remedies, my physicians urged me to document my sleep routines in the various bedrooms of our estate. It is his hope that by tracking the caliber and length of my sleep in each room, together we may come to a deeper understanding of my condition and perhaps, with luck, find a more favorable environment in which I might finally get some amount of rest. It's possible not to think of home among so many mementos of my youth. Nonetheless, I will find comfort in gazing at the stars before dozing off, and it pains me to consider that if this trial is successful, it may be one of the final occasions that I sleep here. My room. Sleep duration 2.5 hours. Quiet, quality, peaceful, despite brevity. So short. Observable effects. I awoke the following morning with 10 less steps, but also observed another. Oh my god, if you end your run in the room, you get an additional star, but less steps. It's telling you what happens if you end your run in these rooms. Interesting. Dearest Diary. This is 3 days later. Dear Diary, last night I retired to the guest room as I have yet to gain the courage to ask anyone to surrender their room to me, even if for a night. This bedroom is a cozy space, normally reserved for guests staying for the weekend. However, I found, despite having a choice between the two beds, that neither proved to be very comfortable. I must speak with Herbert, as it is not as easy as it used to be, despite my exhaustion. My thoughts of Simon kept me up through most of the night. Oh my god, this is like my mom's diary. Crazy. In the bunk room, sleep duration twice the usual, 2 times as restless. The next morning I went to the family tomb to visit his grave and was surprised to find a flower already laid. Interesting. Sleep in the bunk room, it does something different. Okay. I could bring myself, this is the 24th. I could not bring myself to ask Hartley directly if I could borrow his room for my sleep study, The mere thought of it was mortifying. Inside, I decided to roll the die, as he often puts it, and wait for his night off to sneak into his room to nap. The experience of sleeping in a servant's room was thrilling, but the fear of getting caught was overwhelming. Every little noise startled me, and I couldn't manage to sleep here for more than a few moments, fearing Hartley would return at any time. Sleep duration, perhaps 1 hour. Quality terrible. Half the amount of steps the following day. So you have half the steps, but you get dice. Interesting. My dearest diary, I have to confess that I was initially hesitant to spend the night in the Baron's room. It's extravagantly showy, with every surface adorned with gold, and every piece of furniture so large it seemed almost comical. But as I laid down on the enormous bed, I was surprised to find that I felt entirely at ease. Even the absurdly oversized pillows were somehow comfortable, propping me up just right so I didn't feel any strain on my neck or back. I slept more soundly than I have in weeks, and I woke up feeling genuinely rested for the first time in what feels like forever. Clara. So the master bedroom, the best in many months. I awoke feeling very refreshed, with more energy and more steps than normal. That could be really cool. As fate would have it, I had just begun to make progress in my guest of slumber. A most joyous event has interrupted my progress. My beloved daughter has given birth to a son, and has requested my presence in town to assist her during this exciting but demanding time. For now, I will take my leave of the bedrooms of Mount Holly, but I am certain, dear diary, that one day I shall return. Lady Clara Espin, grandmother. It's cool. Weird. This gives me antechamber vibes. Pull this out of the way. Interesting. Honestly, that's some good knowledge. And what that ended up doing is that made it so that now I have to get the office or the throne room. Observatories are so good. I love them. We're at 40 now. Yep, it's good having lots of stars. Observatory is very good. I don't want to lose my steps. Guess we're doing this. Oh man, my nose has been hurting so much. We can't lock ourselves off, so we have to go left. If I go right, then there's no way to progress forward. I gotta get better. Oh man, that'd be so good if I could put that there, but it would end the run. Yeah, we gotta proceed. Yeah, let's get one with many doors. So we're gonna use a special key that gives you a chance at more. Perfect. Perfect. Now, security will give me like the chance of getting free doors open that I don't have to use keys for. Den's good for the gem. Sometimes there's a chest. Conference room would be nice if I'm getting an office soon, because that would give me a bunch of money. Honestly, let's get a security because we already have the utility closet, and those go together really well. There's 15 coins and 2 trunks, so I gotta go back and find those. Security's also good for checking your mansion. Set it to high, and make sure you change offline mode to unlocked. We're gonna log into the network, and once you've made enough progress in the game, you can log into other locations. You only do one a day, though. Man, that's a hard choice. Let's do 2 or more gems, drafting a room. I want to go upgraded floor plan, remove a crate from the tunnel. I'm trying to clear this tunnel out. God, do you need lots of them. Okay, so we got it started. Now I can log out. Yeah, we can do it with RNG. So that opened that door. So that connected. Let's go down first. It's 2 or more. So let's do vestibule. That's dead end, and then to the right is where I want to go. This is going to be a cloister. Oh, it's a rotunda. Cool. Rotate, rotate, rotate. And now we can go south. So here, it really doesn't matter what we get. Wait, rotate floor plans. Oh, it's because it's a part of the rotunda, because you can rotate them. I want to take the archives, because it really doesn't matter. Wow, a Great Hall. So, Great Hall's really cool, but we're not going to step in there until we need to. Because we want to go left. Actually, you know what? I take it back. Let's gamble a little bit. So what do you think? So if this is the room, there's 1, 3, 4, and 6. These corners. Now, if you're watching, think of one of those. I want you to pick a door. Okay, once you've picked a door, tell me if I went to your door. Oh my god. The RNG. Let's go. It's the one I wanted. You picked it. Thank you. If you didn't pick it, damn. Okay. We got the one we wanted. Let's move to the next door. Yeah, let's redraw this. I think we're just going to have to extend it out here. So that who, that is only from Dovecote, which means this is Dovecote. But we're going to drop. Ooh. I've got like any actual. I want to use my key on that. Dining room's gonna be nice. Enjoy your lunch. I got like no items. Okay, let's head back. Save the key, save the key. We'll come back for it. So what we're going to do is we're going to head back to... I guess the best way to do it is Foundation. We're going to go back to and do the ones I missed back at Spawn. Okay. Here we go. So we're going to be going through this underground secret tunnel that's going to come back out to the spawn area, and then that's going to allow me to re-enter the house back from the front. It's kind of like a shortcut. I haven't dropped any dead ends. I dropped 3 dead ends. That's not going to give me enough money from the tomb. So let's go this way first. I need the library. This is the book. The Curse of the Black Bridge by Redford Eldling. The legend of the Black Bridge is one that's well known to the peoples of the Grand Rome, for versions of this tale have been passed down from generation to generation. With each new telling, the story has changed, becoming over the years more colorful, more verbose, and as one might expect, increasingly horrifying. However, with many such renditions and unique personal touches, the task of confining and binding this tale to text seems an ambitious and impossible challenge. Over the course of my research, I have heard dozens of variations of the legend, and while the details would often change, I am surprised that much of the story's heart remained the same. Yet the more I listened, the more clear it became that there could never be a definitive version of this tale, capturing all of the wonder and myth of the Black Bridge. In the end, I chose to write down what felt most authentic, the story my grandmother told me, as a boy long ago. Part 1, The Berry Picker from Oris, which is going to be one of the countries in this world. I know there's 9 of them. Oh, this is a whole story. All right. Many years ago, before peace had become a familiar word, there lived a group of rogues, so wayward that the locals deemed it appropriate to call their number the Unholy Hounds. They were feral outlaws composed of society's worst in a time when society was at its worst. And for each crime that fearful travelers credited to the group, a dozen more lay unclaimed, each worse than the last. For the gentry, however, who often value their coffers more than their companions, no crime could measure more wicked than the group's primary enterprise, high road robbery. One such member of this so-called band of rogues was a boy of 13 years, Jesper, who had not been lucky in life, having lost 2 brothers into a war and parents to famine. In the years of hunger that followed, Jesper lived in a gutter behind a churchyard, relying on the nourishment of scurrying bugs and weeds harvested from the cracks of the alleyway to sustain his pitiful existence. It's not surprising that a child aiming to escape such hardships would take any easy road out, and an easy and well-traveled road, paved with temptations, leading out of the city and into the gentry lands where it was here that he met his surrogate family and saviors, that notorious gang of godless outlaws known as the Unholy Hounds. Despite the hardened circumstances that had led him to the vocation of banditry, Jesper was surprisingly tender-hearted and was often teased by the group for being too kind for such an ignoble life. For this reason, Jesper was assigned the innocent role of berry picker. It was not just innocence that set berry picking apart from the gang's more wicked undertakings, for it was the only duty performed without the safety of night's concealment. Jesper, no stranger to solitude, did not protest that he worked alone while the others have slept soundly, tucked away in a cave at the bottom of Black Bridge Canyon. On one such occasion, Jesper decided to get an early start. He left the cave, berry basket in one hand, and set out into the woods before the morning sun had even brushed against the tallest treetops. It was colder in the mornings, but the headway dawn afforded meant Jesper could reach the furthermost berry patches without worry of being chastised for tarrying upon his return. It took over 3 hours on foot to reach his destination, and along the way, Jesper had passed but a familiar bush, all priorly pillaged and so bereft of berries that one would have to dedicate several moments in earnest examination before finding such a single one. Jesper was patient, though, but even his patience had limits. He was confident that even accounting for the time lost to this long stretch of travel, his efforts would be well worth the pains. Surveying the patches in this new grove surprised even Jesper. The dots suspended among the leaves as numerous as stars in the skies. And upon seeing such a bounteous sight, he clutched his berry basket tightly and nearly toppled over out of joy. Once he had regained his senses, Jesper quickly made a decision. He would not reveal the location of his newfound treasure. Instead, he would earn the respect of his confederates, who, upon seeing his yield, might attribute the success to hard work. Smiling at his plan, Jesper set off to fill his basket, while was steadily making strides in the task, with the thundering hooves interrupted him. A carriage! A carriage is approaching! The thought made Jesper freeze. Had he been so enchanted by his discovery that he neglected to observe his surroundings? How could a roadway be behind one of the larger bushes nearby? It was only a moment before the sound source revealed itself. Within 50 paces of where Jesper hid, an elegant carriage with gold trim came soaring around a corner of trees, led by the most beautiful two white horses and conveyed by a stern-looking driver seated atop the vehicle, flaunting the most sophisticated regalia Jesper had ever seen. It was not just any carriage, it was a royal carriage. Even before he had witnessed such a sight before, Jesper was certain. The sight had so transfixed Jesper that he stood awestruck, unable to tear away as the carriage approached. The little concealment the bush provided was soon proven unequal to the driver's lofty perch, and upon spotting the boy, he pulled the reins with such an effect that the noble steed slid to a sudden halt with precise control. "You, boy, get out from behind that bush," he shouted with rigidity that betrayed a modest amount of fear. "You startled me half to death, coming round the bend of my own drive and seeing such an unfamiliar face in a place where there ought not to be any face." Jesper quickly contemplated running. The man was much older, and his dress was suitable for courtly behavior, not dashing through the bramble and mud. I was picking berries," Jesper raised the half-full basket allowing the driver to see the proof of his words. The demeanor of the man suddenly changed. It was a change that Jesper was familiar with. He had seen many times the same stern expressions on the most fiendish bandits melt away when he presented the berry basket. Any suspicions that the driver might have had instantly evaporated, for even the notion of a member of the unholy hounds picking berries seemed farcical. The softened expression even made allowances for a smile. Berries, eh? Say, you couldn't have picked a better spot for them, could you? I used to pick berries here as a boy. Jesper took his cue to finally step out from behind the brush, proudly brandishing his basket. I know, and what luck I found them. I was only just begun picking, and look how many I have. It would have taken me fourfold the response. A little south of Tanner Fork, just past the burnt woods. My God, that's far. You couldn't have come all that way only this morning. It was true. Tanner Fork was in the exact opposite direction that Jesper had traveled, and while that response would have been perfectly reasonable in a location closer to Black Ridge Canyon, he could see why it would seem less believable here. Sir, I have traveled much farther for less profit. I dare say there is no distance yet made by man that would not be worth taking up for a prize such as these. Surely you have tasted them for yourself? Jesper felt happier with his response that seemed to amplify the man's smile. In my youth, I often, but perhaps I took it for granted because I never had to travel very far. And even then, my father always drove us here in their carriage, so I'm ashamed to have never walked such a stretch to earn an equal reward. It was Jesper's time to smile. Then let my efforts reward us both today. He raised the basket even higher. A taste in memory to your youth, sir. So I want to say here that this story is essentially teaching the person in the carriage, my father. So that's the carriage driver. He's saying I never had to walk such a stretch to earn an equal reward. And I think that person might be the guy who died and gave us this house. And he is realizing that if you have a great challenge and then you get a reward, you feel better about the reward if you worked hard to get it. Anyway, the driver chuckled and removed one glove, bending over the seat to reach down to the basket. And at the moment his fingers touched the first berry, the dagger in turn met his throat, cutting through a superficial layer of skin and drying blood. That is not where I thought this was going. Jesper caught the man's startled eyes, and for that taste I will have your purse, sir, in memory of my youth. The driver's arm had gone stiff. His chin raised and trembled, more frightened than he had ever been before. Whether unable or incapable of speaking, he did not respond to the boy. Perhaps he did not think his jaw could afford to be engaged with this particular time. Jesper let the basket drop, freeing his other hand to probe the man's pockets. Do not mistake me, sir. I will not kill you if you do not give me cause. Though I will admit the thought of taking your carriage and leaving you the indignity of walking appeals to me. Unable to find a purse in the man's coat, Jesper pivoted to search the seat under him. Why have you no purse upon your person? The driver slowly raised his hand cautiously, pointing to the carriage door behind him. Jesper lowered the knife's edge a small degree to allow the man to speak, in which he did turn softly. There's a lockbox in the carriage. Well, come down then, and grant me the courtesy of sparing your life and binding your hands. A concession, I assure you, of my tender heart, for it would be much easier to slit your throat. The man started to comply, lowering himself from the driver's seat of the carriage. Once down, Jesper guided him away from the carriage to a nearby tree, where he instructed him to get on his knees, put his hands behind his back. Oh, fuck, how many more pages? Oh, wow. Okay. Guess we're going to power through it. Excusing his inexperience, the man indulged Jesper while he figured out how to adequately bind him. The smile and kindness Jesper had seen on this man's face, now nothing more than a distant memory. In their place, cold, dark eyes displaying no emotion. I wonder, should I grant you the same clemency you are showing me? Jesper stopped, surprised by the question, but ignored it. Secured the final bindings and hastily returned to the carriage. With one hand on the door's handle, he turned back to the man. If there is no lockbox, there will be no clemency. Inside the carriage was surprisingly dusty and unswept, a stark contrast to the elegant, polished, golden facade of the exterior. It had apparently been many years since a passenger ever enjoyed passage in this vehicle. This all but confirmed what Jesper had suspected. The driver of this carriage was not a liveried servant in the employ of some greater master. Any curiosity that this observation might have further produced was quickly abandoned upon seeing what rested under the carriage's back seat, a large wooden lockbox. Despite its heavy appearance, the box was surprisingly easy to handle. Within a few moments, Jesper had dislodged it from its hold and carried it into the sunlight. Inspecting this box carefully, two observations was made. Totemic symbols found carved on all four sides of the box hinted that the box was likely very old and not created by Orindian hands. It reminded him of the artifacts of the old world and was presumably crafted in one of the ancient realms. Secondly, the box was secured by a rusted yet robust padlock and would not open easily without a key. Jesper looked over to see the driver quietly observing from his indentured position. Do you perhaps have a key to provide me to open this box? Without emotion, the driver replied, There is no key to that box. Jesper stood up. Easy enough, then. He headed over to a nearby rock of sizable dimensions and lifted the stone up, carrying it back to the box. If there was ever a time when that lock had been resistant to brute force, it wasn't recent. With one hit, the stone had completely shattered the rusted lock. He bent down and opened the lid. Inside was an effigy, a crude figure chiseled from stone. Without too much deliberation, Jesper bent down and picked it up, somehow surprised by how heavy it seemed given how light the box had felt. Having expected to find something more akin to gold or gems, he looked questioningly to the man, hoping to find an explanation. The driver's smile had once again returned. You are cursed, boy, for deadly is the stone. You have opened that which should never have been opened, and now you are cursed. Jesper carried the effigy over to the man and shoved it in front of his face. What is it? That one, feeling his disappointment rising to anger now. Jesper tightened his grip on the effigy. One what, you mumbling agenter? And in God's name, what have you no purse upon your person? The man did not seem intimidated. 1 pace. He paused for effect. 12 more and you will be dead. He had only a second to flinch before the effigy struck him in the head and put an end to his cryptic ramblings. If there ever was a time when the old man had been resistant to brute force, it wasn't recent. Jesper looked down at the sculpted stone, now splattered with red. Was it cursed? Was he cursed? He had, of course, heard stories of curses, but never doubted their validity in the past. But now, standing face to face with the possibility of being cursed, his mind pleaded with him to be skeptical. As if he was cursed, what difference would that make? A dozen more paces would not be enough to find another living soul, to say nothing of the chances of procuring a remedy. If he did not move from where he stood, maybe he could live another 3-4 days, maybe given the abundance of the nearby berries. A plan that, if we ignore its obvious faults, might provide additional opportunities for help to come along. But what good would that do, to be discovered here, beside a body, stolen goods in hand, bloated from berries and raving about a curse that could very not be real? No, it would be most certainly better to face one's fate now, take a dozen paces and see if life goes on. That's metal. But Jesper found his legs unable to make that first step. His mind was unable to convince his limb to waste 1/12 of his life in a single motion. Feeling the desperation sink in, he hopelessly looked about him for a solution, and if by some stroke of the gods he had heard his plea, a miracle materialized before him, and he suddenly found himself at the end of a fairy tale. 2 white horses and a carriage of golden trim were beside him, the answer to his immediate prayers. He laughed at his fortune, calculated the short number of paces back to the road. 4. Or perhaps only 3 if he jumped. He made a quick survey to see if there was anything he wished to grab before taking the plunge. He thought about removing the driver's fancy coat, as that appeared to be of some value, but the additional risk of undertaking such a task was too great to chance. And so, after a profound breath, he took his second, third, and fourth steps, though they were quite large. Seated now behind the horses, he reached for the reins, and suddenly realized that he was still gripping the effigy. If the curse was real, then it would most certainly be better left here. If, on the other hand, the story was fictitious, there might be some appraisal that could be made of the figure. It was, after all, found within a lockbox, whose typical function oft secures objects of value. Having witnessed firsthand the horrors of destitution, Jesper found his mind equally reluctant to allow his hand to let go. If it is cursed, I die. If not today, then tomorrow. And if I die, what care have I? And with this statement said aloud to the horses seemingly, Jesper took the reins with confidence. Part 2? Okay. Oh my god. This is a long book. I mean, the story is interesting, but the Black Bridge is a program that they used to bridge the different data computers in the house, which is kind of weird. Miller awoke to some light nudging from a familiar foot. Only one person would have the cheek to awaken her in such ill-mannered fashion. Shaking the sleep from her eyes, she glared at him in the darkness, but did not say a word. He nudged her again, teasingly, then stepped back into the dim. After taking a moment for her eyes to adjust to the darkness of the cave, Miller remembered. She was on third watch today. Quietly collecting her things and her wits, Miller turned as she left, waving to her young friend, who was more likely already asleep. She crept through the cavern's main passage, careful not to wake the sleeping bandits around her. Like a hero in a book, she often mused. Quietly, she grabbed a bow from the haphazardly formed pile of weapons, shaking the accompanying quiver in the darkness to assess how many arrows it held. She then walked toward the sun-drenched mouth of the cavern, ready to start her shift. Oh my god, is this my mom? Maybe. And that she was once one of the part of the bandits. That's why she was on the run. That's why she has multiple passports. Maybe. It's a theory. Anyway. Quietly, she grabbed a bow from the haphazardly pile of weapons, shaking the accompanying quiver in the darkness to assess how many arrows it held. Then she walked toward the sun-drenched mouth of the cavern, ready to start her shift. Above her, in one of the few trees that was in the canyon, Miller could see that Ravia was already posted. She waved, and Ravia waved back. Calling anything out to each other was strictly forbidden. Anything louder than a gesture in the canyon was forbidden. When Miller reached the tree, Ravia lowered a braided rope and pointed to the ground behind her. Miller turned, following the finger, and saw a pail of water resting beside a nearby log. She turned back to Ravia, nodded, and secured the pail to the rope. The pail went up first, and in turn, Miller followed. Ravia reached across to grab the water, and Miller leaned back to give her space. There was not much room for maneuvering in this tree post, a necessary concession for the concealment the outpost demanded. Ravia tilted the pail up to her mouth dramatically, illustrating how thirsty she had been. Miller laughed silently as water poured out, splashing into Ravia's face. It was a bit too daring and noisy of a joke, and if had others been around, they would have certainly been scolded for the unwarranted sound. But Miller appreciated the efforts Ravia took to verbalize the silence of the morning. They had been on third watch together for over a month, and during that speechless time their friendship had grown into something special. Affection was unsurprisingly scarce among the unholy hounds. She had felt camaraderie before, but intimacy, never. From the elevated vantage, the girls could see the concealed entrance of the cavern as well as a clear bridge that was spanned across the canyon. Black Bridge was the link between the Gentrylands and the northern mountains, the overpass that connected Orris and Reddington.
Mm.
To the city-faring travelers of this realm, the bridge was an unavoidable crossing, and in the day the task was to ensure that travelers passed by without stopping. At night, the task was to ensure that they do. Like most of her band, Miller preferred the night. The biting glare of the sun might be tolerable to farmhands and bricklayers, but to a cavern-housed bandit, it was a constant source of annoyance. In the day, there was no shroud to conceal her expressions, nor to hide her thoughts. She felt exposed. Ravia touched her elbow, pointing up. Miller, striving to suppress a budding smile, subtly shook her head in response. There were many signs that the unholy hounds used in lieu of words, but the two of them had developed such an extended vocabulary. Hot. Jesters quietly forged in shared solitude of their month among the branches. She watched as Ravia shifted, placing her palms flat on the floorboards beneath them. Miller knew that she was trying to say, but she shook her head a second time. It was often more fun to pretend not to understand. Ravia rolled her eyes and turned away, looking back at the canyon, squinting through the leaves, and the two girls held still, watching and listening. It was not long until Miller, too, heard the sounds of approach. Ravia held up two bent fingers, and a few moments later, two men emerged from the bridge's southern end. They were dressed in a familiar uniform, long gray coats with black facings, white waistcoats, and black tricorn hats. They belonged to the local patrol, the Blackguard. Although not an everyday occurrence, their presence at Blackbridge wasn't an unusual sight.
I thought you were reading a book. Woman face filming, medium light skin tone.
Oh, hi. I am reading a book. I'm reading a book in the game. It typically indicated an important traveler's impending. Wait, I lost my spot. Ravia held up two bent fingers, and moments later, two men emerged. Oh, they were dressed like. They belonged to the local patrol, the Blackguard. Although not an everyday occurrence, their presence at Blackbridge wasn't an unusual sight. It typically indicated an important traveler's impending passage across the bridge. Information that the girls would promptly relay to their leaders as soon as the coast was clear. But this report, while exciting, was rarely acted upon. In Miller's 5 years in the Unholy Hounds, she had never once seen a carriage taken in open daylight when the Blackguard was nearby. The men had nearly reached the bridge's north end when Miller heard the horses, faintly at first, but growing louder with each passing moment. Ravia's eyes met Miller's, the same concerned mirroring in each other's expression. This did not sound like a typical carriage, cautiously approaching the bridge to cross. Instead of the familiar crunch of the high road's gravel, they heard the harsh clattering hoofbeats against stone. Both girls quickly redirected their attention downwards, looking through the foliage. The sounds were not coming from the high road, but from the canyon itself. The horses were coming from below the bridge. In an instant, Miller had knocked an arrow and drawn her bow. Go! Ratvia had gone before the whisper had even left Miller's mouth. The young scout was already sliding down the bank below, racing toward the cave. There was no road that ran below the canyon. There was no reason for numerous horses to be approaching their cave. There was only one reasonable conclusion, and both girls had reached it instantly. The base had been compromised. This was a Blackguard attack. The moment the horses came into view, Miller let loose her first arrow. She was surprised to see a carriage. She was expecting cavalry, and even before she finished processing that thought, her second arrow was in the air. Without a trail, it would be unthinkable for a carriage to traverse such rough terrain. Yet she watched as the wheels jolted over the rocky riverbed. A third arrow was now in flight, and there would be no need for a fourth. The driver slumped over just moments before the vehicle dipped into a small ditch, slamming into an embankment. Holy guys, if you're listening to this, that is the second Alzara cutscene that shows the carriage that was flipped over. It's talking about this story, the curse of Blackridge. The driver slumped over moments before the vehicle dipped into the ditch, slamming into an embankment. The force of this sudden halt immediately shattered the front two wheels and catapulted the driver from his seat. Utterly confused now, Miller quickly glanced over her shoulder to see if any of the horses were also approaching from the rear. Down into the canyon, the entire horde of the unholy hounds came spilling forth from the earth as if hell itself had suddenly sprung open. The group seemed even more bewildered than Miller, half asleep and tripping over one another in a desperate attempt to engage an unseen enemy in combat. Miller could see Ratvia among their number, the only one looking up at her. Her expression was chilling. There would be no need for a silent gesture to convey what they both now realized. They had made a mistake. The gang's chieftain, Geoffrey Heartslasher, led the others, cautiously approaching the carriage like a suspicious fox would near a baited trap. There were no words exchanged as the group crept forward in customary silence. A dozen or so paces in front of the wreckage lay the far-flung driver, an arrow protruding from his broken body, and beside him a blood-stained effigy carved from stone. Miller was inconsolable. Jesper had always been her favorite. He had always shadowed her in the night, clinging to the hems of her every move, the way a child trails behind an older sibling. Tender-hearted, she had always called to him, though deep down she had known that that wasn't quite true. His appearance of gentleness concealed a raw, resilient durability that emerged in the most perilous situations. He had been a flower among the nettles of this cave, but he still had thorns, honed by a grim past and 100 hands of misfortune. They buried him in the darkness, in the back of one of the larger cavern rooms. He was interred by a berry basket and a silk handkerchief that he had treasured. The mysterious effigy they found beside him served as a distinguishable gravestone, a marker that stood out somewhat special among the rows of similar swords marking neighboring plots. No one spoke, not even in whispers. There was nothing to say. Miller awoke the next day to a thunderous shaking and rattling of the earth, a far cry from the playful nudging of the previous day. She restrained her eyes, but the choking sting of the stirred-up dust caused her to flinch. Panic was also in the air. The sounds of the scurried footsteps and clattering feet filled the space around her. But even in alarm, the silence was louder. What was it that sounded so strange? Miller closed her eyes tight and used her feet to guide her along the passage. The whispers around her were getting louder, and intense voices could be heard ahead. Louder speech than she had ever heard spoken in the canyon. A growing dread grew as Miller approached the mouth of the cave, her eyes now open, wide despite the dust. Shouldn't it be day? Miller felt a hand in the darkness, pulling at her. It was Ratvia. The two embraced, and Miller did not need to see her to understand. Ratvia placed two bent fingers against Miller's cheek, and a touch against her face. Miller felt the same sinking feeling from the previous day. Two bent fingers confirmed what Miller had suspected. The girls had forgotten to relay one critical piece of information to the others. An hour or so later, the screams began, blood-curdling cries of hopeless desperation. Captain Fodrick Lee of the Blackguard looked down from the ridge of the canyon to the collapsed entrance to the cave. Ah, he grinned. Now they speak. Wow. So it seems like the Blackguard, who one of their youngest members ran out and killed a driver of a carriage. The driver of the carriage then gives him a box. The box has no key, and it says, "Don't open it." He breaks it open anyway and grabs an effigy, which curses him. And he says, "Screw it," and runs back to the cave. And this is told from another one of the unholy gang, which takes place under Black Bridge, is the cave, which is very interesting because that is the bridge that connects Orinda and Reddington, because we're the Baron of Reddington. And then the guards finally... And then one of the people that ends up getting shot, who was on the carriage, is from this story where the child kills the guy and steals the carriage. And as they're riding back from the carriage, they didn't realize that it was one of their own, that he had stolen the carriage, bringing it back. And their own teammate and friend shot him. And then they buried him in the shrine with a bunch of swords, and then they collapsed the entire cave upon them, which is crazy. The Curse of the Black Bridge. Okay, now, with that long detour in mind, we are going to draft that wonderful what is it now? Oh yeah, we're coming back over here, and we're gonna do... I'm gonna grab this, actually. Yeah, that was quite a crazy story. I'll take the extra dice, that's fine. Okay, we gotta get lucky here. Yeah, I'll take a chapel. The goal here is to get curse mode, and I am pretty close. I've now got the library. Now all I have to do is draft the shop. I need one that goes both directions. It's an OP den. Okay. Ooh. Ooh. I think I'm gonna pull the trigger. Hey, what's up? I'm streaming. I'm gonna get the curse mode this run. I just read the Curse of Blackbridge. I just read the book. I read it aloud, and there was like 15 pages. That is the theory. That is what I believe. Well, I'm streaming mine because I'm showing other people who aren't on PlayStation and recording it for brevity or the future. My future children that listen to this as a bedtime story. Okay. So my goal here is to get a secret passage if I can. Oh, look, I called it. Pull for a shop, and then I can re-roll twice if I need it. This is it right here. I only had one key. Mount Holly gift shop right in the first roll. Let's go. Yep, there it is. The Cursed Coffers, a permanent addition to the shrine. None would dare open it. Purchased. I dared. So now all you gotta do is draft a shrine. Which that's crazy. Okay. So I just ooh, prison key. Let's go. Everybody loves a rainbow key. Uh so I can have extra look for keys. If you're watching, type rainbow key in chat to give me good RNG. Showroom. Let's go. I would like showroom. Top deck to showroom. Oh, let's go. Master key. Heckin' yeah. Well, this run will get easy.
Rainbow Ace.
Rainbow keys. Thank you for the rainbow keys. She was watching my stream. Carrie's also doing a lot of work today. PhDs are hard. I can't see how many, only have one. Damn. You know what? Let's do this. It's day 69. Right? 69? Yep. Hello. Okay, so this run, I've acquired the master key, and I'm going to end up trying to fill in all these spots without dead-ending myself. I think these are the cabinets that will be needed. There is a key that goes to these. I'm just trying to see if there's anything that looks different or off about them. But they do have keyholes, which is crazy. Okay. So we're going to come up here. We're going to use our special master key. Ooh. We need something with more... I'm going to redraw this. Do I have 2 gems? I can't tell. Give me 1 second. 2 gems? Cool. That should give me another... Oh, it's upgraded floor plan. I've been doing the 2 gems one, so I've been burning all my gems. Oh, cool. Lucky me. Let's grab some more of those. Always good to get steps. Breakfast Nook is very good. I love a good breakfast nook. Pump room. Yeah, that's where I want it right now. Let's go down first. Let's not go so high up. Ooh, that'll be a challenge for sure. It'll be a dead end. Okay. Yeah. You just let me know when you're on. Yeah, I mean, we've been all hanging out um pretty frequently. Is this turned off? I'm never secretly tired of anyone. If I'm tired of you, I'll tell you. It won't be a secret. And I enjoy your company. Okay, okay, okay. We gotta go backwards. We got the steps. We got the steps. Oh, it's this way. We got the steps. I needed a chapel. I needed an office really bad. Foundation? Morning room? Yeah, yeah, you get it by eating a plate of breakfast, like for real. You can either get it in the kitchen or if you upgrade the nook into the breakfast nook. Well, that fixed my jump problem. Everybody loves a good pair of swim trunks. Oh no. Oh, I got it. Yo, let's go. Wait, what? Oh, the pump fake. The pump fake makes me sad. Oh, I need to somehow transfer over my save from the doing the curse mode. All the dare mode. Okay, let's get this run. I still need either an office or a throne room. Office. Let's go! Oh my God. I was like, it's two gems. It could be an office. Heck yeah, dude. Let's go. Spread that gold. Ways if you wanted. Casino. Okay, so then I need to go back to the foundation. Let's do the last key, and then we're gonna fully complete the whole house. I mean, start with extra steps. I don't even really need steps anymore. I've been overstepping. So I'm gonna redraw. Treasure trove, can't go wrong. Nothing wrong with big money. Oh my god, I got 90 coins. The previous box in this room contained a true statement. Okay, for people joining in, I just finished out building this whole house, and I'm going to be heading to a secret area to hopefully get secret things. Because this game's about secrets. Oh man, I gotta walk all the way back to. Dang. Because I already took this. Let's go this way to security. We're heading all the way back and we're gonna go underground. We're wandering through my spooky house trying to get back to the entrance. Well, it's all recorded, so you can go back and check it out. First things first, let's come check this tunnel. Um, what's the best way to go about getting to? I mean, I need to go back to the archives for sure. And then I need to go underground. Let's take this path. This run, I have also gotten the office and I have her ladyship's chambers. So I'm able to complete the chess puzzle. So I will be able to finally unlock the armory. Yeah, Kyler's the one that told me about it. Okay. The the king. So the king is on the office. The queen is on her ladyship's chamber. What's there? I think this is in the rook in the nook, which is up here more. The bishop is in the chapel, which is down here. I don't remember. I brute forced it. Let's go. Oh, that's sick. Let's go. Oh, wow. Interesting. Oh, you took the knight, which is the armory. Can you only select one, or is it one a day? Redo the puzzle, but you have to complete the whole puzzle again. So these are like temporary adjustments due to your house. Each day you may choose a color. So this color will likely be done. Wow, that's really cool. Just go green rooms all day. Oh, you don't have to pay tithes. You pay $30 the first time you enter the chapel each day. Oh my God. Instead, gain 30. Okay. Not give 30. It's gain 30. You may draw floor plans up to 4 times when drawing the 4 corners of your house. Interesting. I think I'm going to take the. Okay, cool. That's so sick. Over this? I don't. Yeah, it's already open. Yeah, could you see my screen? Oh, I was looking at it like twice. It's all right. But yeah, I smashed that one open a while back, but I didn't ever solve that puzzle. Like figure out what the word castle was talking about. So does that add the armory to my pool now going forward? Cool. Ah, I get it now. I just want to test the theory since I have the steps. I think that if I come down here, this should be the opposite side of the boat. Yeah. And then this also goes into the tomb. Yeah, that's open. I think that down here. Why isn't that open? Oh, it's this one over here. Once you start getting enough stars, they'll all be amazing, promise. Okay, the last thing that I'm going to go grab in this house is I'm going to head up to the archives, and I'm going to use the file cabinet key, and we'll see what that does. So that makes me think that your mom was a part of this gang, and she was wanted and on the run. At least that's my thought process. Why else would she have multiple passports? Well, because she grew up a thief, and then when she got older, she probably met the Baron, and then she planned the heist.
They were rebels.
Yeah, they were definitely rebels. It's like you can.
Politically,
Oh, I mean, they were also the stolen jewels are, I think, what is in the 46th room, which is why they don't show them off. Okay. Key blueprints. Oh my god. I apparently. Night. Yeah, we'll do. Okay, this is about the end of this run. We're gonna go grab one more thing because apparently there is. I want to open this file cabinet. I don't know what's inside of it, but I looked up the location because I knew it was gonna be something crazy, and it's something crazy. It's not in any room. How about that, Kyler? There are file cabinets fucking everywhere.
It's back to the right. Yes.
Ooh, this is one of the words had fallen completely out of favor and were no longer being included in proofs by serious arithmeticians. This concept, once considered sacred, is now regarded as an
The ripped out
over-engineered concept that only served to further advancements in the field, as Philip Wilkins most put it. Take any number with four or more digits without changing the sequence and split that number into four smaller numbers. 86 455 became 86 45 5. Why does it split like that? Next, assign each a different color, resulting in a valid mathematical given the smallest whole number possible. Oh, and then it's the puzzle from the billiards game. Okay, so then the final number retains. Interesting. So that's got to be one of the last pieces that we need to figure out the circles, the sigils. Crazy. That's all that's in there? Dang. Well, not as climactic as I was hoping, but it gives us another piece of the puzzle. Um, is there anything else we can do in this run? You know what? I think there was. Man, there's fireworks like crazy outside. Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna pull up. Master bedroom. Guest bedroom. Nothing special. My room. Okay. Mm. I also found out that because I got the diary key and was able to read her diary because I got her ladyship's chamber, that was able to tell me about if you end your day in some of the bedrooms, they have different effects, which I never would have figured out. Some of them give you like more steps, some of them take steps away but then give you things. Pretty cool. Okay, I'm gonna end this day. The perfect shopping center of unfathomable riches. 4 shops, a vault, a treasure trove, and a trophy room. Wow. The perfect shopping center of unfathomable riches. Punk rock. Okay. If you're out there, sleep good. Thanks for enjoying the run.